Hello, Padraig Parle, and thank you so much for joining us on this Q&A for the Doorway Gallery. How are you doing?
Oh, very good. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to our little chat. I suppose let's just start on how you became an artist, because I know your work from over the years with many. I think you've had a good few shows. Can you tell everyone how you started out to be an artist?
Well, after leaving art club, I was fortunate enough in that I got gallery representation pretty quickly. I think when you leave art college, most people find it very hard to get a studio space, but I was very fortunate because my uncle, who lived in Blackrock, offered me a room in his house to use as a studio. I think that's kind of the biggest challenge for students when they leave art college, just literally having a place and the time to do work. So I was lucky in that I could just continue painting. There was no real break. So I after college I started on a series of still lives, and I used to get the dart out to his house every day. I said Blackrock, it's actually Clontarf, sorry. So I'd get the dart from Pier Street and I'd go out to Clontarf, and there was galleries nearly at either darts stations. There was the Usheen Gallery and the Blue Leaf Gallery. So I showed my work to both those places, and the Blue Leaf Gallery decided to show.
So that was pretty much immediately after our college. You got into a gallery straight away.
Yeah, graduated. I finished the college in like June of that year, and then I was into the Blue Leaf Gallery before Christmas. So
that's pretty impressive. And what type of work you mentioned? It was still lifes. Was it in the same kind of forms as your work, or is it completely different?
It was a bit different now. It was really, after leaving art college, I wasn't quite sure what to do. So a lot of artists like Vincent van Gogh and Picasso, when they were stuck for ideas, they'd return to the still life. So I did that really as I was deciding what to do. I think so probably the biggest struggle for an artist is your search for your own style. So I did over the years. I have working on a good few different styles till I've arrived at abstraction there a few years ago. But they were still lifes about 2 feet by 2 feet or 1.5 feet by 1.5 feet. And yeah, just they were I suppose you'd recognize them as mine. They were colorful and sort of simple shapes and that. But as well, I moved on from that style after a couple of months. I went back and I did a H-dip in primary school teaching, and around the time of graduation there, I saw a really good show in the Irish Museum of Modern Art in Kilmainham. It was Carl Apple and Cobra artists. So I was really inspired by that, and they were figurative works, but done in a really naive, childish way. So coupled with that, and I suppose the appreciation for children's art I was getting through working in primary classrooms, I started a new style then of.
That's amazing, actually. How it is. It's amazing how a show can really inspire you to try something new, isn't it?
New direction. All right, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I had a show then in 2003 in Wexford Art Centre, a solo show, and during the Wexford Opera Festival. And my work then was seen by Noel Campbell-Sharp, who offered me a residency in Kilreelig, down in West Kerry. So
that's a fantastic inspiration as well, isn't it? It's if people don't know, it's just it's an artist retreat that is just so inspiring. You're right on the coast, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. You're kind of literally hanging off a cliff there on the Atlantic coast in an old famine cottage, but they're really modernized and let a lot of light in. So again, that had another change on my work then around 2003, 2004, and I was really taken with the landscape then around that time. So I was a landscape painter then for a while after that.
Wow.
I've done lots of different styles over the years.
So you like to experiment?
I think I do, in that I suppose when you're young and you're coming out of art college, you don't really have a lot of life experience, and you haven't got, you can't really fix on a style that quickly or that early. I think so. I have done a lot of different types of subject matter, nearly always through paint, but yeah, it's every couple of years you'll see a little change in my style. All right.
Do you sketch everything out first before you paint, or how do you start?
I start with a sketch. All right. Yeah. Say for the works I'm doing now. Coincidentally, I actually have a sketch right here.
Oh, brilliant! Oh, wow! Oh, I love seeing that. Yeah.
That's just on a post-it note. And then that became I'm trying to get it away here.
I know which one that is.
See the orange painting in the background there?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I suppose the hardest part of the process that I do now is you start off with that lovely fixed line drawing, and then when you bring it into paint, try translate it into paint on the canvas, then that's when the difficulty or the struggle starts, because you don't know which section should be dark and which will be light. And I suppose you've got a lot of different components in the piece, and they all need to work together. And as well, if you darken one or you change the color, it can really throw off the whole composition. And they need to work the components need to work on their own, and then they need to have an energy going through them to work collectively as well. And then eventually, hopefully, it balances and it settles down, and it becomes a piece I'm happy with.
How do you know then when it's finished? Because you use a lot of layers on each piece. I mean, are you quite?
Yeah, kind of. I suppose the best way to explain that is I know when it looks wrong, so I keep chopping and changing and experimenting and adding and taking away and scraping away and doing it again. And then nearly every painting I do, I have a moment or many moments where I think it's not going to work. But
really?
You keep going and you keep struggling, keep trying, and then eventually, then when it does settle down and balance, I know when it's done. It's a case where I know where it looks wrong, but I'm not sure how to make it right, and I suppose that's where the struggle or the difficulty is in the work.
And would you were just saying there that you were doing a lot of figurative work and still life work. Is that gone? Are you happy now you're an abstract artist, or do you think is this where you're going to stay for a while?
I'm happy to stay here now. I suppose as you're painting, if it's still life or if it's landscape, you're learning all the time. You're learning about color, you're learning about composition, shading, fading colors. You're becoming trying to increase your expertise on all the different colors in the color spectrum, seeing what works together, what doesn't, etc. So I suppose I've arrived at abstraction for a good few reasons. I suppose maybe the first reason being that it's what I'm always drawn to, in that, say, my favorite artists are abstract painters. That'd be artists such as Sean Scully and Mark Rothko, Richard Gorman, John Shinners.
Yeah, definitely all the influences there. Yeah. So would you say abstract art then is more challenging for you?
Yeah, I suppose the aim of abstract art is to create a picture of something that doesn't exist, so like very little, you're creating something that's completely unique, something that doesn't exist in nature or anywhere else. Also, I think it's a real true and pure form of painting, because I can't do abstraction in any other medium really. And then as well as that, I suppose when I think of what informs good art or what makes good art, I always use David Hockney's kind of definition of good art, and he said you need three things for good art, and that is the eye, the hand, and the heart. So the eye, I suppose, it means it needs to look attractive or hit you with some kind of impact or draw you in. Then the hand, some good craftsmanship, and that it's some skill in how it's made. And then the heart as well, there needs to make a kind of emotional connection with the viewer. And it is more difficult as an abstract artist to make that kind of emotional connection when you're not using something that's you know, seen in nature or seen in everyday life. It's harder to draw if you were in, but the really good abstract painters like Scully and Rothko and John Chinners can do that. So that's the aim, to make a emotional connection with a viewer just using color, shape and form, I suppose, which is the challenge. So yeah, it is a little bit more difficult, I think. Yeah.
And we've had a few questions in to ask you, and somebody says, what's your preference? Do you prefer medium oils or pastels, and have you always worked in oils?
I have. Well, since I started using oils, I've always worked in oils, even though they're really impractical and they stink and they're I've ruined my clothes.
The challenge, though. You love that.
My house and everything. And when I was like when I started painting straight after college and that, and then when I didn't have that studio in Clontarf anymore, I used to paint in my bedroom. I just had the bed there, I had 2 nails in the wall, hang a canvas off and literally paint there. So it's probably really bad for the health, but just with the white spirits and the smell of the oil paint and everything. But I think oil paint is the best medium for painting. You get the best colors, you get the most vibrancy. It's definitely the best medium. So I always paint in oils. And pastels, then I started using them just a little bit more recently, maybe in the last 2 years or so.
Oh really? I thought you were using them a lot longer.
No, it was after my last show. I looked around and all my painting seemed to be kind of in a similar color palette. So I said I'd do some work on pastels to try and expand my palette a bit. I thought I'd just do some quick preparatory sketches in pastels, but I got really into the medium and started getting the best pastels and the most expensive ones, and I really was drawn into the medium now. So I work in 2 mediums now.
Quite vibrant. Very vibrant. Actually, your pastel ones are really much more vibrant, aren't they? The colors.
Yeah, they're brighter. They're not as moody, I suppose, as my oils, but there's more of a vibrant color to them. All right.
Someone else wants to know where are you based? So you were in Dublin. Obviously, you went to DIT there and you did fine art, but you're living down in Wexford now, with your family.
Yeah, I moved to Wexford. I think recently enough, about 5 or 6 years ago now. We moved down here after when my daughter was 1.5, and I have 2 kids now. But we're glad to move down. I was in Dublin about 18 years, so really enjoy living in Wexford now. I grew up here originally, but after I went to college, I stayed up in Dublin. But we moved down here, bought a house now. It's by the beach, and I really don't regret moving down. It's been a great step for us, and also then I've a studio here. I mean, your space is at a bit of a premium in Dublin, so it was actually a big relief to move down here, and you've got your studio and everything like that. So it was a good place.
Another question: what is your inspiration?
Inspiration for my paintings, or I suppose what inspires me to be an abstract painter, I suppose, is that the language of abstraction is really universal, in that anybody can appreciate it and understand it. I mean, after I did my landscapes and that with the Origin Gallery, I went back and I did a master's degree for 2 years, and I was doing like politically charged work and some photography and installation and street art and that kind of thing.
Wow.
And I was really sort of in the depths of the recession, and it was.
Did you enjoy that?
Pardon?
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it because I started out in 2009, and I've been out of art college for 8 years. And when you finish college, everyone that you show painting to says it's lovely. You know, you lose that kind of that real, you know, criticality that you can get in an art college setting where your work is really kicked around and you have to justify it in that. But when I left there, the work, or the politically charged work, or the work that was responding to, say, political situations, I just felt that was really maybe tied to a certain time, and you need to have a lot of, say, previous knowledge to experience it or to enjoy it properly. While I wanted to make something a little bit more universal and a little bit more accessible, and that's why I came back to abstract art and abstract painting.
Yes, but you
so what
did
inspired me to do that, I suppose.
Yeah. Sorry, or did you? You know, everything you've done, I suppose, has a different effect on the work, hasn't it, over the years? And there's different stages to every artist's journey, I suppose.
Yeah. It's why I chose abstract art and stuck with it, I think, as well. It's something that Sean Scully says as well. He said, you know, if you're an artist, you're lost in the middle of an enchanted forest. Okay. And if you start chopping, changing, and doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and taking all these little roads, you're never going to make your way anywhere. You need to find a path, stick to it, and go and follow, and then you'll really get somewhere. So you know, I feel like I'm on a path now, and that I'm really enjoying, and I'm enjoying the journey. So yeah, that's what inspires me.
So what is your daily routine? Obviously we were in lockdown. We're kind of coming out of it now, but before the lockdown, what would have been your daily routine?
I suppose before the lockdown, I have a studio, like I'm in my studio now, and it's like I can see into my daughter's bedroom from here. It's you know, it's right in the middle of the house, so that kind of suits my chaotic lifestyle at the moment, I suppose. I can do a half an hour here, I can do an hour here.
Oh, really?
I'm lucky I can do a couple of hours here.
Whenever you want, can you? Yeah, you don't have to. I know with a lot of artists we spoke to, they have to keep continuing on to finish the piece, and once they get into it, but you seem like you can dip in and out.
Yeah, well, I've learned to be able to do that. I used to stick with one piece, but now the paint I apply and stuff, it just stays wet for so long that I work on a couple of pieces at once. And you know, I need to leave them and come back to them. I suppose a daily routine normally is I'll get up about 7 o'clock and I'll go to school, and I'll come home and we'll do all the normal family stuff, and anytime I can get into the studio is great. During lockdown now, I suppose I've had more time to spend on my art and in the studio, which has been a positive. But again, very busy at home with 2 kids, etc. and that. So yeah, I suppose my routine art-wise is do as much as I can every day and still be available when I'm needed, I suppose.
And have you got more work done over lockdown, or has it?
I have, yeah. On your suggestion now, I'm working on a larger scale. So I thought that'd be very easy. I'll just make bigger canvases and away I go. But it has been hard to translate the smaller scale paints to a larger scale. So I've been battling with that over lockdown. So it's been a great challenge, and it's kept me busy over lockdown and stopped me getting bored. So yeah.
And what is the largest size you've ever done?
Around.
Is it the piece behind me?
I suppose the biggest would be about, say, maybe 120 centimeters by 100, around that, or
really, wow,
3.5 feet by. Yeah.
Right.
But building up to that.
Bigger.
I'm on 75 centimeters now. And
I've noticed. Yeah, I'm very proud. Well done. And if a customer asks you to do a commission, are you open to that?
Yeah, I'm happy to take commissions. Yeah, that'd be no problem at all. That it's nice to get commissions because it's really someone that's, you know, buying into your vision, and they maybe want to adjust it a little bit for your to suit their house or business or whatever. So yeah, no, it's always a big honor to do commissions.
We've someone else who asked, wants to know, what do you use? Is it a mixture of rollers and paintbrushes?
Yeah, I'd use the roller very scarcely or not too much really. It's usually just brushes, and some palette knife sometimes. But yeah, brushes, palette knife, and sometimes a roller just to create a little bit of texture.
Okay, but but you sketch everything out on the canvas first with what you showed us, the little drawing. So you just, and then you use paint over it, is it? And do you use tape as well?
Yeah.
Okay. You have a very
yeah, just I'd use tape sometimes. Just I'd use masking tape sometimes just at the end to get a very clean line maybe on some of the paintings.
Right.
Yeah, it starts off with an original sketch, then translate that larger onto the larger canvas then, and then the batting to get it all to work together and to, you know, to balance and come together, which I always hope it will do, and it usually does eventually.
It does. No, I love it. There's a great warmth in your work as well. It's yeah, no, it's beautiful. It really is. Thank you so much, Padraig. That's been really interesting. Really appreciate your time, and look forward to seeing your work hanging on the gallery walls. We're getting close now, so hopefully we'll get them out of the studio and into the gallery. Thank you.
Great. Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you, Padraig.
Okay,
you take care. Bye.